Hi everyone. So today we're going to be working on your Of Mice and Men characterization chart. So if you don't have this pulled out yet, then I need you to go ahead and open this document. It says characterization activity. It's on Schoology. You need to open up this Google document. Now if you have any questions or need a refresher during the times where you're working on your own, you can click here to pull up characterization in literature, and there's a quick video here
As we
that
read
shows you the
fiction,
difference
we come to better
between
understand.
direct and indirect characterization. So you have this as a resource to you. What we're going to do today is we're going to start going through the text, locating your annotations where you did direct and indirect characterization. You're going to provide a quotation for each character that is listed here. You have to provide a direct characterization quote and an indirect characterization quote. Now, for the direct characterization, all I need is the quote because it should tell me something directly about the character. He is tall. He is short and stubby. He is large, right? That's direct characterization. Now, indirect characterization is going to be something that you're going to have to explain. So it's either going to be actions that the character does, something the character is doing that tells us something about him. So we're going to have to infer, or maybe what somebody else says about things that they do that helps us infer. We're going to do a couple together so that you can do this. But once you put your indirect characterization here, you have to tell me what about the character is being expressed. For example, if we had Lenny run out into the street and save a rabbit from a tractor trailer that was coming down the road, then we would say he cares about animals. He is a caring individual, right? So those are some things that we can tell, even though it doesn't say he's caring, his actions show us that he cares. Then the final thing we're going to do for each character is explain who they are. Write a description of them. How do they fit into this story? What do you know about this character at this point in time? All right. So I think the best way to do this is to make yourself a split screen so that you have the book on one side and you have the activity on the other. So the first one that we're going to work on, or the first one I'm going to work on, is George. Okay, so I know that I had some really good information about George right here at the beginning. I think that it gave us a really good description right here. The first man was small, quick, dark of face with restless eyes and sharp, strong features. Okay, that or every part of him was defined small, strong hands, slender arms, and a thin, bony nose. This is direct characterization. These are an example of direct characterization because it is directly telling me about the character. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to make sure it's in MLA format. So I'm going to put the quotations around it. I'm going to put the author's last name, and I'm going to double check which page this is. This is page 4. And notice that the period is on the outside. Now that's all I have to do for direct characterization because it directly told me something about him, right? I can tell you that he has small, strong hands, slender arms, and a thin, bony nose. That's directly telling me about him. Now, I have to find something that indirectly characterizes him, right? So I'm going to go, let's see, I'm going to look around here because I remember that George was taking care of Lenny over here, right? He was talking, this is where he made him throw the mouse away. Also, this happens when Lenny can't remember where he's going. And so George is taking some time out here to explain to him where they're going. So let's see. Let's see. Well, how about right here? This is the one I'm going to use, but I want you to pick something different, okay? Right here, I'm going to pick, well, you ain't petting no mice while you walk with me. That. That is what I'm going to pick. All right? You can't pick that one. I want you to pick something different because there's so many things. But I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it into this box. I'm going to put the quotation marks around it. I'm back. This is page 7. And notice the period is at the end. I took the period out of here. I moved it to the end. Now, what does this tell me about George? That's the key here. What is this telling me about George? Well, I think that this tells me that George cares about Lenny. And here's why. Because George is aware that carrying a dead mouse around in your pocket is not a good thing to do. He knows that possibly Lenny could get sick from this, that it's just not something he should be doing, right? So I think that it shows us that he cares about him and he cares enough to make sure that he puts this mouse away, puts it down. Remember, he does it twice, right? So I'm going to say here, this tells the reader that George cares about Lenny and wants him to stay safe and healthy. I know this, so the character trait that's being expressed is that he is caring and, well, I can say just that one thing. He is caring, right? Now I have to write a description of George. So based on everything that I know in this story so far, what do I know about George? Well, I know that George, George and Lenny travel together, and George looks after Lenny. He sometimes gets angry or frustrated with Lenny, but he always has his best interests at heart. He wants to own his own ranch and live off of the land. That's what I know about George right now. I think that paints a good picture of who he is. So I'm going to leave it at that. So you're going to do the same thing for all of the characters. You're not going to do it all today. Today you have to do numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. You're going to stop at 4 because we're going to do 5, 6, 7, and 8 on a different day. So knowing this, if you haven't been doing your direct and indirect characterization annotations, I would definitely pick that up so that this part is easier for you when you go back to complete it. Okay? So again, what we did today and what you're going to do for Lenny, Slim, and Candy for the remainder of this period, you need to find a direct characterization quote, put it in MLA format, an indirect quote, put it in MLA format. Tell me what that indirect characterization quote tells me about the character. What does this tell me about him? And then write a short description of the character in our book. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. And remember, you're only doing 1, 2, 3, and 4 today. That is it. You stop after Candy for today. All right? I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving, and we'll see you when we come back.